Following the attack on the United States on 9/11, the U.S. government restructured its handling of investigating and managing immigration and related activity around the world. It created ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. ICE now has more than 20,000 law enforcement and support personnel in more than 400 offices in the United States and around the world. In 2019, a camera crew was offered access to follow and document what the men and women of ICE do on a daily basis. Every year, ICE removes thousands of immigrants from the United States, the majority for committing crimes.
We're not going to focus on the person that jaywalked down the street. We're talking egregious crimes, murder, sex offenses, child molestation.
A vehicle just pulled up in front of our target house.
How you doing?
But the activities of ICE and its enforcement and removal operations is not without controversy.
Hi, officer.
I go hunting for these ICE agents over here.
We see ICE as an assault on the very character and history of the United States.
A lot of people want to make it out that ICE, ERO specifically, wants to target everybody in the country. They wouldn't come on our radar if they were here just for a better life.
These are the men and women of ICE and the work they do 365 days a year.
Are you going to comply this time?
No.
You're not going to comply?
No.
The human stories behind the headlines.
Let's go home.
And their core mission to enforce America's immigration laws. Beyond borders, inside American immigration.
Showtime.
This time, on Beyond Borders, inside American immigration, a sister waits anxiously for the release of her brother.
My mom hadn't seen him for 3 months. The last time she saw him was arrested.
A convicted drug dealer is apprehended in the early hours.
These guys come out going to work, they have on a jacket, a hood, another jacket. You can't really tell who they are.
ICE officers in Philadelphia chase down a convicted rapist, but it doesn't go to plan.
Yo! Yo! Turn the car off!
Two old friends who fled from Cuba in 1980 are hoping to stay in the country they now call home.
I had no family in Cuba, I had nobody. What can I do over there? Nothing. 39 years in this place,
In Philadelphia, ICE officer Ryan is looking for a convicted heroin dealer who was recently released.
This is an individual that was arrested with a significant amount of heroin that was all packaged for street sale. He was convicted in court, sentenced to a period of incarceration where he completed his time and he still has a green card, but because of his conviction for the distribution of heroin, it makes him removable from the United States. We issued a detainer asking the city of Philadelphia to turn him over to us. They never did. It's very frustrating. Now we have to go out and find him.
But ICE officers are informed of his location through a tip-off.
It's 5:20 in the morning. We're heading to this address where we hope we can find this guy. A source of ours told us where he's going to be. We're hoping he's leaving this address in the next 15, 20 minutes or so. So we're just going to wait in front of his house. We have a couple of guys that are there already conducting surveillance. They've been there for a little while, and we're going to hope to see him leave. The address is just right up here. There's one of our cars there. Yesterday was relatively beautiful day, beautiful winter day. And then this morning we wake up and we got snow on the ground. So, you see the tight streets and the small areas in which we have to work, and sometimes there's no parking. So sometimes that does factor into it.
The ICE detention center at Chrome, west of Miami, processes hundreds of cases each month. One such case is that of Oscar, a Mexican immigrant. Reina, Oscar's sister, and Erica, his employer, have traveled to Chrome and are waiting for his release from the detention center.
We were both born in Mexico. He works for Erica. He does construction. He has a 1-year-old daughter. He's my older brother. And we're a very close family, a big family. He was pressed with charges of domestic violence, which those charges were dropped. And it was a hard situation. My mom hadn't seen him for 3 months. The last time she saw him was arrested. There was a knock on the door at like around 5 in the morning, I believe. He lives with his wife. And then SWAT took him. They transferred him to Broward. From Broward, he was there for like 2 weeks, I believe. And then he came here. He's been here for like 3 months, I would say.
Oscar is an employee with my company. He works with my husband in the construction field. He's a very responsible employee. He's always on time, very dedicated to his job and his family. And the consequences about all this, most of nothing, I think the family suffers more. Of course, the detainee, because he's restricted from the freedom, but his family, like the pain his mother has been going through is something unexplainable. Just to imagine your son being locked up and not knowing which day you're gonna receive a phone call saying if he's gonna be sent back to Mexico or not. And then the dangerous situations that happen in Mexico, which is one of the biggest fears that I think everybody has. So being sent back to their country, you don't know what's going on over there. There's wars, there's parts of people that are being killed for no reason.
The activities of ICE and its enforcement and removal operations are not without its controversy. In San Diego, Officer Jamison locates an activist who is based in the area, who has been trailing ICE agents in his car.
I got him, he's right in front of you. This guy's a local activist that follows us around and tries to pull us over and yells at us all the time.
Benjamin Martinez is a member of the San Diego Rapid Response Network.
Good to see you. Hey, officer, let me talk to you.
The San Diego Rapid Response Network. It's a network that people can sign up and they cover 24 hours a day. So if there's an ICE raid, volunteers go out and they just go and document. I go a step further. I'm more proactive. I go hunting for these ICE agents over here. That's what I do. We have a Facebook page and we have WhatsApp. WhatsApp is a wonderful app because it's encrypted, so I get a lot of information from them. And you just saw right now this gentleman, right? I was driving around, I got a report that they were stalking somebody, okay? I went over there, I followed that Ford Explorer. I asked them, identify yourself, who are you? I posted it on Facebook Live, and I do that so people can see if I ever get hurt, they know who did it. And when people don't want to sign the auto deportations, they lock them up in lockboxes in Otay Mesa. They lock them up in Front Street for 4 days without any food, with the air conditioning completely ranked up. That's torture right there. What I want due process. I understand that people that live in this country undocumented have broken the law. I totally understand that. I want a secure border, just like anybody else, right? But if you think the biggest threat to America is a half-naked, half-starved immigrant running across the desert trying to find a job to better provide for their families, while ICE agents are concentrated on people like myself just for filming, my First Amendment right to film them, and arresting pregnant mothers at the WIC office, they're arresting people that are dropping their kids at middle school, they think that's the biggest threat, you're totally missing the boat. At the end of the day, I'm doing what's morally right, and when I took the pledge to protect and defend the Constitution, I took it very seriously, And I understand, I have no beef against ICE agents or Border Patrol as long as you follow the rule of law, as long as you follow the rules.
Back at ICE HQ in Philadelphia, officers are processing a Jamaican national who has just been apprehended.
Mr. Ramsey came to the United States in about 2011. He came at that time as an immigrant. He got a permanent residency, which means he had a green card. He was allowed to live and work in the United States. Mr. Ramsey was convicted of a serious crime. He was convicted of distribution of drugs and carrying a firearm. So both very serious offenses, and both offenses that we want to get off the street. And carrying firearms in the city of Philadelphia has become a very big issue. We have a lot of shootings here, so we want to get people who have firearms in their possession off the street. We lodged a detainer after he was convicted of those crimes and serving his time. However, the city of Philadelphia released him to the street. Our officers have been looking for him since about June. Finally, this morning, we were able to locate him and arrest him. So we have him here in custody today. He's going to be placed in deportation proceedings. He'll be detained in ICE custody until he can see an immigration judge. So even somebody who's here in the United States legally, if they're convicted of a certain serious crime, they can be placed in deportation proceedings and deported.
25-year-old Javed Ramsey moved to the U.S. with his mother when he was 16. She was driven by the hope of a better life, free from the violence that had plagued their community in Jamaica.
Growing up in certain neighborhoods that's mainly violent, like I've been exposed to it since a very young age, where I'm from, like, our mentality, we don't think about making it to age 30. My mom, she came here first, and she filed for me, and then I came here in 2011 at the age of 16. I came here with a different mindset to get a different opportunity, but because of certain negative things that happened in my life while I was here, like getting picked on by individuals because I'm not from here, trying to rob me for my hard-earned money that I work for to provide for my family. I've been robbed more than twice. And it got to a point where I said enough was enough.
But the repercussions of what happened next sealed his fate.
I just got off work. I was in my neighborhood, and guys that I don't get along with, he tried to rob me. He was like this close to me, stuck me up. I told him where the money was at in my pocket, and while he was fumbling through my pocket, I hit him and disarmed him and took the firearm, and he ran off. I was walking up the street to come to my house, and I got stopped by a couple of my friends in the neighborhood. We were talking, and then that's when undercovers from the 35th district in my neighborhood swooped in and apprehended everyone. I tried to run, but I was not fast enough, and I got apprehended, and I was charged for selling marijuana, which I wasn't doing. But because the firearm was on my person, I told the officers that I do indeed have a firearm, and I was also charged for the firearm. The marijuana that they charged me for distributing, it wasn't the amount that they said I had, and the amount that I had was barely enough a person to use. So I was wrongly accused in that case for selling drugs, but because I pled guilty to the firearm, I also got the possession with intent to delivery as an additional charge.
And his luck kept getting worse.
Just became an apprentice in the HVAC field, but like 4 months ago I got shot. I got shot in my back and in my leg, so I was out of commission. This whole time till now, I'm still in my process of recovery. Coming from work, I got off the bus, I was walking up the street towards my house, and there's this local bar right there, and I was walking past the bar, and when I was a little bit farther ahead, I heard gunshots. So I tried to run, and then I felt a hit in my back and in my leg, and I fell. When I first got shot, I couldn't feel my legs, and that was the first thing I was worried about. I was like, I hope I'm not paralyzed. And through vigorous procedures at surgery, physical therapy, I'm able to get back to my walking a little better. I'm still trying to get back to the point where I was in good health. This leg is still messed up, so.
A lot of people are afforded the opportunity to come to this country and live here, and most of them live legally and are law-abiding citizens and contribute to this country. Unfortunately, not everyone does. We have very limited detention space. It costs a lot of money to detain somebody, so we prioritize, and we prioritize just on these type of cases. Somebody who's been convicted of a serious crime that is a danger to the community that we want to get off the streets. So we don't have the ability to detain everybody who's here in the country illegally. That's why we prioritize people with criminal records. We're going to send him to one of our county jails that we contract with. He'll have an opportunity to see an immigration judge and explain his case to the judge, and ultimately the judge will make the decision on what's going to happen with him.
I just hope that the judge see that at the time of my arrest, I was a lot younger and I was not as wise as I am now. And I hope like whoever the judge is, they see that I genuinely am trying to change for the sake of my family, my niece at home, my mom. I mean, I just had another grandniece. She's not even a year yet, and I'm trying to be here so I can be in their life to provide for them. And I don't know, I just hope like the judge looks at my case and see that I'm really trying to do the right thing and like give me a little bit of leniency, because I'm not a bad guy. Like, I mean, ever since I've been in this country, I've always worked, always paid taxes. I always tried to do the right thing. Even when I was on probation, I tried to follow the right path to get off. Man, so I just hope for the best, man. I don't have anyone at home, back home to go home to. So if I do get deported, that'll be awful on my part.
Back at Chrome Detention Center in Miami, Oscar has been granted a temporary release from custody while he awaits trial. But his bail comes at a cost.
In Oscar's case, for example, he has no criminal background at this moment. All the charges were dropped. He should have been released, I believe, without a bond, and if not, with a lesser amount, because $10,000 to come up with, it's hard. The family goes through a lot of work to come up with that money. They have to either sell their cars, figure a way, like even if they're left without a car now and stuff, they have to figure out a way to come up with all that sum. And then if they borrow the money, they still have to pay that back. I mean, people live here and they work day by day. Nobody makes thousands. An immigrant makes what, $130, $150 a day, if anything.
What we've been through this past 3 months and what he has gone through, and all the pain that I've seen him go through, and all the pain that I've seen my mom go through without her son. He's obviously looking forward to seeing my mom. Like I said, I can come visit him through a glass. I could see him through a glass. Can't touch him, can't hug him like I want to, but I am looking forward to hug him tonight.
Back in Philadelphia, ICE officers are staking out the address of a convicted heroin dealer.
It's really dark. He's walking up the east side of the house. I say we move now.
All right, so we got somebody coming out of the house. Give us a minute. That's him, 100%. You understand what's going on? ¿No habla inglés?
No.
¿Tú comprende?
Poquito.
We started to see somebody moving in the house. A female came out. We waited, and then one of the guys that was at the top of the block saw the individual, was able to positively identify him from the past arrest photos, and we were able to grab him and lock him up before he even got to a car or anything. It went very smooth. We were able to positively identify him pretty quickly. As you can see, some of these days, these guys come out going to work, they have on a jacket, a hood, another jacket. You can't really even tell who it's dark on the block. You can't tell who they are. We got lucky today. The guy came out, he only, he didn't have too many layers of clothing on. He was in a part of the street where there was a street light, and we were able to identify him pretty quickly. Before we get down there, he had told me that one of his hands hurts. There was all kinds of traffic, a school bus on the block, and people beeping. We didn't want to wait there any longer. We're going to pull over. We definitely don't want him taking the ride down 95 with, in pain. So we just changed the cuffs to have him cuffed in the front before one of these guys take him downtown. We're going to bring him back to our office, back down to the ICE office where he's going to be processed. We're going to serve him some paperwork, a notice to appear before an immigration judge, and he's going to be sent to our office out in York or Pike County, Pennsylvania, to have his immigration hearing.
Tensions run high at Chrome Detention Center as a detainee's release on bond draws near, and his sister anxiously awaits his return.
His family members have come to our lobby, they've bonded him out. So even if the inevitable is that he gets repatriated, he could be given a little bit more time to get his things together, to get his bearings in order before being repatriated, if that's what the immigration judge decides. The immigration judge afforded him a bond, I believe, of $10,000, so his family has paid that, and now he's being processed out. So he's recuperating his property, any medications he may need to take with him, and he's just awaiting for the final signatures just to verify that he is the individual that has been bonded out and that no one is removed erroneously from the facility, and then he'll be walked out so that he can reunite with his families that are waiting.
With the paperwork now complete, Oscar is escorted out of the lobby to be reunited with his sister, Raina.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
Let's go home. I'm so happy to see him. And finally hug him and take him home. I can't believe it.
Oscar is walked out of the lobby escorted by an officer, a standard practice to ensure safety and compliance with release conditions. In San Diego, the security at Otay Mesa Detention Center is run by a high-tech command center.
This is central command for the facility here. We have two of the officers here who control all access points inside and outside the facility. So when you're walking around pushing the buttons, these are the officers who will actually be allowing you access to that. So we only have these two people who do this job in the entire facility. So they control everything in here. They work 24 hours a day. It's pretty much the busiest place in this facility at all times. The facility is about a quarter-mile long from one end to the other. The logistics in this place is really crazy because trying to figure out who can go when with all the different classification levels, because the classification levels cannot be combined. We can't combine our high levels with our low levels. It takes a lot of coordination with the contractor here. The facility has a capacity of 1422 ICE detention beds. Today, we have a population of 1,133 ICE detainees from 69 countries. The majority are from Mexico with 258. We also have 251 from Cameroon, 90 from China, 70 from Honduras, 63 from El Salvador. We also have 55 Indian nationals and 53 Guatemalans. They're here looking for a better life or fleeing from persecution from their government. I mean, there's a lot of different stories that we get every day through here. A lot of our detainees are requesting asylum at the port of entry or once they're apprehended crossing the border by the Border Patrol. If they're coming through the port of entry, they're required to be detained until they've had their immigration or until their credible fear interview with an asylum officer. If they've been determined to have a credible fear of return to their home country, then they're allowed to be paroled in the United States. So, but until that point, they are mandatory custody per current immigration law. Detainees are able to walk freely without handcuffs or escorts all the way from one end to the other or wherever they need to go. So for movement between the housing units and medical, legal visits, court, to meals, there's just a free-flowing movement for them.
But not all detainees are able to move freely around the facility. Some individuals are held in high security pods under close supervision.
Most of the high levels that we have here were apprehended by ICE on the interior. They were either here, then they were released from jail, and they were arrested by us at that point, and then they were brought here to go through the immigration process. So they go through the legal process for their criminal conviction, and now this is an administrative process for their status in the United States. So this administrative process allows them to see an immigration judge to determine whether or not they're allowed to stay in the United States. So the criminal process, so it's two separate parts of the legal process. There's the criminal side and the administrative side. Well, they're not all illegal when they come here. A lot of them are permanent residents. So they've been granted status in the United States. They're a permanent resident. They're here legally. They've committed a crime which makes them deportable. So at that point, now they have to answer to an immigration judge for their crimes that they've convicted to see if they can retain their status in the United States. It all depends on the case. There are so many factors that go into whether or not someone's allowed to stay in the country. That's up to the immigration judge. But there is a process for everything that they go through. There's only about 45 here in this high-level pod. There's usually 100. It has room for 128. So whenever we come down here, they always have a lot of questions about the cases. The high levels always do. They're usually the most knowledgeable about their cases as well because they've been fighting them for a long time. So they're always very aware of what's going on and what's happening. And they always have a lot of questions.
Two longtime companions who emigrated from Cuba in 1980 are currently at the ICE office in Miramar, Miami. They are required to check in annually and request permission to work. But due to their prior criminal records, they constantly face the possibility of deportation back to Cuba.
We came in the Rio in the boat in 1980. It was kind of hard. You know, it was close to crossing the sea right here to Key West. I went to Fort Smith, Arkansas. I stayed there like 2 years. Then went to Dallas, Texas. From Dallas, Texas, I went to Detroit, Michigan. In Detroit, Michigan, right here in Miami right now. I was locked out for a crime I didn't commit. I was doing 20 years for something that I didn't do. So I decided to come over here looking for a better life. A lot of mistakes that I made in my life and now I'm paying for. You know, that's the way it is. I sold drugs, got in possession, I stole. A lot of things that I did that I regret. Today I regret it. But people make mistakes. I made mistakes and now I'm paying for it. I come out to the centers every year. I got a report, sign my papers, because if I don't have the paper signed by immigration, I can't get no license, no ID, I can get no job, I can get nothing. So I have to come here every year. I come here every year. They say 9 o'clock, I'm here 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm here legally, but I'm not a U.S. citizen. I don't have no citizenship. All we had is a work permit that they give us. We have to renew it every year. 3 years ago, I went to the penitentiary for a gun possession. And that's it, you know. I came here. I'm not afraid they send me back. But I'm not gonna be on the street without no ID, no nothing. So I take my chances. I come here. They give me if they sign it, they don't. What can I say? I'm not doing it no more. I'm good. I got a job, I got a wife and kids, you know. I'm doing good. I don't expect nothing. Whatever they give me, that's what I get. You know, I don't ask for nothing. I sit there, give them turn the paper. When they call my name, I'm gone. Go home with my wife and kids. That's it. I had no family in Cuba. I had nobody. What can I do over there? Nothing. 39 years in this place, you know. Sorry.
Ok, yo vine a los Estados Unidos por la circunstancia que era muy oprimido por mi propia familia que pertenecen al gobierno de Cuba.
He came to the United States because his family they were communists, you know, they Castro and all that stuff. Yeah, his father abused him when he was little because they part of the communist Castro communist organization.
Cometí errores que cometemos todos en la vida y he estado arrepentido siempre. Y entonces estoy cogiendo otra oportunidad de estar en este país, en la calle libre.
Yeah, he made mistakes and he's trying right now, you know, to correct whatever mistakes he made in the past.
Estuve viviendo en una casa donde se cultivaba marihuana.
He used to live in a grow house, you know, where they grow weed. ¿Qué tú esperas que pase hoy?
¿Qué pase?
Que pase hoy.
Hoy. No sé lo que pase porque estoy en esta entrevista, simplemente vine a firmar como vengo todos los años.
He just came to sign the paper like he does every year. He don't know.
The two longtime friends have reached a turning point in their journey. They walk towards the ICE office, the weight of uncertainty heavy on their shoulders.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. All right, sir, when was the last time you reported?
Last year, on
year?
November the 17th.
Is your address still the same, sir, or is it changed?
Still the same, sir.
Okay, sir, you can go ahead and have a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, señor, ¿tú hablas español o inglés?
Español.
Español, no inglés. Poquito de...
Pero hablo más español.
Ok, su dirección, ¿todo está correcto? ¿No cambio? ¿Nada de eso? Número de teléfono, ¿cómo está eso? ¿Está correcto?
Correcto todo.
Okay, sir, you can go ahead and have a seat. Someone will be with you shortly.
The chapel at Otay Mesa plays an important role in the lives of inmates by providing a place for them to practice their faith. Chapels can also provide a sense of community and connection, which can be especially important for individuals who are isolated from their families and communities.
We're thankful for each of you come from as Muslim, Sikh, Christians that are here in the chapel this afternoon.
Y agradecer a todos los que están aquí, musulmanes, cristianos, católicos, o todos los que están aquí.
And so now let's do another closing prayer. We can bow our heads.
Vamos a cerrar la oración y podemos orar
And
otra
then
vez
we'll leave the chapel for this afternoon.
con la última oración y después nos iremos de aquí de la capilla.
We have two chaplains here on site, and they serve up to 9 different faiths at any given time here in the facility. I mean, with 69 different countries represented, it's expected to have a lot of different faiths. So they actually work with all the different faith centers here in San Diego. They work with the Catholic Diocese. They work with the Jewish Center up in La Jolla. They work with the Muslim Center here in San Diego as well. So they work with all the local faith centers in order to provide what is needed for the multiple faiths that we have here represented in Otay. They need some hope. And the chaplains here do a wonderful job of preaching to the different faiths and the different needs here at the facility. There's music, they have a couple people that play guitar that come here, they sing. Sometimes it's just a time for quiet reflection. If there's a few of them here and they don't really want anything other than just quiet time, they come in here for a little quiet time. They can read, we have all the religious books in the back that were donated. They can come and read in a nice, quiet place.
In Philadelphia, ICE officers have been tracking down a Honduran national who was a known convicted rapist.
So it's almost 5:45. We have an individual sitting doing surveillance over at the house right now. Upstairs light came on, so we think that the target is probably up, getting ready to get himself ready to go to work. We expect him to come out sometime between 6 and 6:30. We'll let the cops know that we're in the area and what we're doing. We've already deconflicted this address, so it's on record that we're going to be here today with the people that need to know. So we have a car over at the subject's address. There's a light on. He's been doing surveillance for the last half hour. There's a light on upstairs. So it appears like the guy might be up, getting ready for work. We expect him to leave sometime between 6:30. We'll be on NATAC 4 for comms. When we get over there, parking's gonna be tight. Find somewhere to park. Let's try to get, we got 1, 2, we're gonna have 3 vehicles total. So let's try to get situated that when he comes out, we can be on either end of him to make sure that we don't give him any way to get away from us. Any questions?
He gets into the car, we're gonna box the car in, lights, sirens, and get him out of the car.
So he was in federal ICE custody in Buffalo, New York. The city of Philadelphia got a court order to take him out of our custody so that they could try him for charges in the city. Charges that included rape, fleeing to elude police, DUI, and some others. When they were finished with him on those charges, they were supposed to bring him back to ICE custody. Being that it's a sanctuary city, they did not do that, and they released him to the street. So now we're going back out to try and take him back.
The suspect exits the location and swiftly attempts to escape from the approaching officers by getting into a nearby vehicle.
Yo! Yo! Turn the car off! Stop! Turn the car off!
Get down. Get down. Get down.
Don't move.
Get down.
You got it?
No se mueva.
Car in park.
¿Cuál es su nombre?
Cámate, ¿ok? Cámate. Yo tengo orden de arresto de él, ¿ok?
Oh, there?
Sí, pero espere. Tú mueves la coche, la oficial es enfrente de la coche. Yo no quiero, I don't want anybody to get hurt. Yo no quiero personas duele. ¿Comprende? Un momentito, un momentito.
Okay, I'm sorry, man.
Un momentito.
No, solo yo solo. Mi bebé está en el hospital.
Baby's in the hospital.
¿Habla español?
Un poquito.
Mi bebé está en el hospital, se está muriendo y tengo que ir hoy.
You got an ID?
Ajá.
¿Dónde hay identificación? ¿Usted ha arrestado antes?
No, nunca. Ahí está.
Marvin. Right?
Mi mujer, el cortés de ahí.
Okay.
En el hospital.
Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Why'd you run? Why'd you run?
Back in Miramar, Miami, 2 longtime friends are anxiously waiting to find out if they will be sent back to Cuba or allowed to stay in the United States. The decision will have a significant impact on their lives.
José. Ok, José. La próxima cita es el 16 de noviembre 2020, 9 por la mañana. Ok. Ok, hace todos sus papeles para acá. Augustín.
Yes, sir.
Ok, mira, esta es la foto. No necesito eso con su primera cita, ok. La próxima cita es el próximo año, 16 de noviembre 2020, 9 por la mañana.
Yes, sir.
Okay. ¿Tiene preguntas?
Thank you, sir.
De nada.
I'll try to fix that picture.
Está bien.
That was good. Another year. The next year, November 16, 2020. Now I can go renew my license and just go back to work. That's it. I feel good. I feel good. I wasn't, you never know what you're going to expect, what you're going to get. Sometimes I fear that I might get locked up. I wish I could have my resident card, but at least a resident card that I have less problem, more time to do what I got to do, you know what I'm saying? In the near future, I have to go in front of the judge and see what the judge said. But right now, my main goal is my kids and my wife. That's it.
Back in Philadelphia, ICE officers thought they had apprehended a convicted rapist, but were later informed that the individual they apprehended was not the target of their arrest.
The guy was standing on the porch. He looked a little heavier, but he fit the description. We think it possibly is a relative of our target. In hindsight now, when he came out, we called a phone that we believe is the subject's. And when we called that phone, the guy that was on the porch actually appeared to answer his phone or look at his phone as if they answered on speaker.
Officers soon discover he is living in the U.S. illegally and bring him into custody for processing.
He's kind of caught up in the middle of someone else's mess. So we were looking for the bad guy today. He got scared, he tried to run, he lied a little bit. But as the investigation went on today, we found out that he has a 2-month-old child who has severe medical issues. So we obtained some medical documentation from his wife. And so we're gonna release him so that he can be there to provide for his family.
The detainee confessed to knowing the target suspect and agreed to provide assistance to the ICE officers.
He also has indicated a willingness to help us find the bad guy who kind of got him into this situation in the first place, who was our target that got away today. So in a few minutes, we're going to explain that situation to him, and he'll be transferred over to the place that's going to put him on the ankle monitor and supervised release. You got caught up in somebody else's mess, right? We're looking for the bad guy who we talked about, right? And when we came to look for him, you ran and got arrested because you're illegally in the country.
Okay, usted quedó atrapado en un problema de otra persona. Cuando usted no vio, usted corrió. Usted está aquí ilegal. Usted cayó preso con inmigración. Así de simple, okay?
So, since we've been here, we figured out that you told us, and we also got some documentation that you have a sick child, correct?
El tiempo que tenemos aquí, hablamos de tu situación, que tienes un hijo que está enfermo, ¿verdad? Una bebé de 2 meses.
She's
Okay.
2 months old in the hospital.
Y está en el hospital, ¿verdad? Tiene 2 meses. Okay.
So what we're going to do is we're going to release you with an ankle monitor so you can go to your immigration proceedings and not be in jail.
Lo que vamos a hacer hoy es que lo vamos a dejar salir con un monitor en el pie, ¿ok? Vas a pasar por el procedimiento de inmigración normalmente, pero vas a estar afuera de custodia a lo que va pasando eso, así puede estar con su familia y su hija en el hospital, ¿ok?
And you also told us that you'd be willing to help us get the bad guy. So any help you can do to help us take him off the street, that would be great.
Usted también nos dijo que nos puedes ayudar a conseguir las personas que están haciendo cosas malas. Okay. Cualquier ayuda que usted nos puedas dar es agradecida.
Sí, porque nosotros no tenemos valor.
Exacto, aquí está usted trabajando tranquilo y viene una persona a cometer un crimen, aparte de que ya entró a los Estados Unidos, causándole problemas a la gente que está trabajando con usted.
Sí, tenemos deportación nosotros.
Sí. Claro. Entendemos.
So we're going to take you over to the place where you're going to get the monitor on and they're going to explain the whole supervision process.
So desde aquí vamos a ir al otro lugar donde le van a poner el monitor y ahí le van a explicar con más detalles cuál es el proceso. No vas a durar mucho tiempo ahí. Te van a poner el monitor y después lo vas a dejar salir para la calle. Okay?
And after that, you go home to your wife and your kid.
Después de eso puede ir a estar con su familia y su hija. Vas a tener tu celular y todo para atrás, vas a poder llamar y todo eso. Okay?
All right?
¿Alguna pregunta?
Venga.
Once released from custody, the Honduran immigrant is required to have scheduled visits at the ERO office and await a court hearing to determine if they will be deported. ICE officers successfully tracked down the Honduran immigrant they were looking for. He was removed from the U.S. to Honduras. The two Cuban nationals, Augustine and Jose, continue to be in compliance and report yearly to the Enforcement and Removal Operations Office in Miami. Community activist Benjamin Martinez still continues to follow ICE agents. And when Oscar got his court date, the immigration judge terminated all proceedings on his case.